The old banker collapsed right in front of his desk. One moment he was signing a transfer order. The next, his pen rolled across the floor, leaving a faint blue line that looked like a signature he never finished. His name was Richard Hale, 68 years old, a man who had spent 4 decades managing other people's fortunes, but had none of his own. He was the man everyone trusted, but no one truly knew. The ambulance came fast, but not fast enough. He died on the way to the hospital, clutching his briefcase. When the news broke, the staff at Hamilton & Co. Bank mourned him as a man of integrity. But 2 days later, a discovery inside that same briefcase changed everything. Before we continue, if you like stories like this, subscribe to this channel so you never miss the next one. Let's proceed. There was a sealed envelope with a handwritten note on top. To be delivered to account number 4172, my final transaction. The manager frowned. That account didn't exist in the bank's records. No name, no balance, just the number. Curious, he called the bank's data team. Search it again. It must be old. They searched. Nothing. That same evening, a young woman named Lily Monroe received a call that froze her mid-sentence. "Ma'am, did you know Richard Hale?" She paused. "The banker?" "No. Why?" "There's something here addressed to you, personally." "That can't be right. I've never met him." "Yet your name is written clearly on his file." When Lily arrived at the bank the next morning, she half expected to be told it was a mistake. But the moment she saw the handwriting on the envelope, her knees went weak. It was the same handwriting from a letter she'd received years ago, one that had saved her life. Inside, the bank manager explained, this letter was found in his case. He called it his final transaction. Lily opened it carefully. Inside was a check for $1,000 and a note that said, "I owed a debt to someone I never met, you." Her hand shook. The room tilted slightly. The letter continued. 15 years ago, I approved a loan that destroyed your father. I knew it would fail. He begged for mercy. I ignored him. He lost everything. I told myself it was business, but that lie aged faster than I did. I found out he died soon after, and that you were 16 at the time. I can't undo what I did, but I can transfer what's left of my life into yours. If you're reading this, my account is empty, and yours is full. This is my final transaction. Tears filled her eyes before she realized she was holding her breath. The manager asked, "Miss, are you okay?" She whispered, "He destroyed my father's company. I hated him my whole life." "Then why would he?" "Because guilt weighs heavier than money." That night, Lily sat in her small apartment, staring at the check. Her father had built a local printing business. When the bank foreclosed, everything vanished overnight. The house, the cars, the dignity. He died of a heart attack 3 months later. She'd grown up working 2 jobs, angry at the world and the man who caused it. And now that man had left her his entire savings. For days, she didn't cash it. She walked around the city replaying her father's voice. Never let money make you forget who you are. But anger doesn't fade just because guilt leaves a check. The following week, a man in his 70s knocked on her door. "You must be Lily," he said. "I'm Samuel Brooks. I worked with Richard for 30 years. She stared at him, cautious. "Why are you here?" "Because I think you deserve to know the whole story." He told her how Richard had been promoted just before the financial crash. The bank had pressured him to call in debts, even from small businesses. "Your father's company was one of them," Samuel said. Richard tried to stall the order. They threatened to fire him. He was weeks away from losing his pension. He chose survival. "So he killed my father's dream to save his own," she said bitterly. Samuel nodded slowly. "Yes, and he hated himself for it. I watched it eat him alive. He started donating quietly. Orphanages, debt relief funds, anything. But he never forgave himself. You were his last ledger entry." Lily sat back, overwhelmed. "Why tell me this now?" "Because he didn't want you to think the money was bloodless. He wanted you to know it came from repentance, not charity." She looked down at the check again. $1 million. The number that could erase every struggle she'd had. But now, it didn't look clean anymore. That night, she dreamed of her father sitting at his old desk, the one covered in invoices and hope. He said nothing, just smiled and pointed at the same check lying in front of her. When she looked back up, he was gone, and the paper had turned blank. The next morning, she went to the bank. "I want to know if Richard Hale has any family," she told the manager. He shook his head. "No wife, no children. He lived alone for years. The bank was his only family." "Then I'll find someone else who needs this." "You don't have to." "I know," she said, "but maybe I need to." She spent weeks visiting shelters, youth homes, small business owners drowning in debt, and every time she helped someone, she wrote in a small notebook, "Transaction complete." One afternoon, while helping a young man open a small bakery, she noticed a man watching her from across the street. He wore a gray coat and dark glasses. Later, as she locked up her car, he approached. "Miss Monroe?" "Yes." He handed her a small envelope. Inside was another note, same handwriting. "You passed the test. The money was never about repayment. It was about redemption. Thank you for letting me rest." Her hands trembled. "But he's dead. How?" The man smiled faintly. "He sent it before he died. Told me to deliver it if you did something good with the money." She swallowed hard. "So he was watching?" "He was hoping." He turned and walked away before she could ask more. That night, she sat under the same lamp her father once used to read the newspaper, holding both letters. She realized that Richard's death hadn't just transferred money. It had transferred the weight of choice. Forgive or hate, spend or give, forget or remember. She chose forgiveness, not because he deserved it, but because she did. Months passed. The story spread online. The banker who tried to repay his sin. Journalists came, asking questions she didn't want to answer. "Did you forgive him?" one asked. She said softly, "I forgave the man, not the system, because systems don't apologize. People do." She used part of the money to start a foundation for small businesses. Named it after her father, the Monroe Fund. The first grant she gave out went to a man named Caleb starting a printing shop, the same dream her father once had. One evening, as she walked home, she stopped by the bank where it had all begun. The doors were closed, the lights dim, but in the reflection of the glass, she thought she saw Richard standing behind her, nodding. She blinked. He was gone. Still, she whispered, "Rest now, your final transaction cleared." If you're still watching this, tell me, would you forgive someone who ruined your life if they tried to make it right when it was too late? Leave your answer in the comments. And before you go, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like this video. Share it with someone who needs this lesson. And remember, sometimes the biggest debts aren't paid in money, but in mercy. A new story drops soon. Stay close, because every parable hides a truth worth finding.